Hello, my name's Danny Webb, and I'll be reading from Charles Caselton's new book, Meanwhile Gardens. It's entitled Strange but Undeniably Handsome, Chapter 2. It was peaceful here. The cemetery had none of the emptiness, none of the gloom of the stony patch attached to St. Kilda's Church in Bridlington. There the graveyard was filled with stolid headstones of people awash with decency and thrift. Here, Rion could see that thrift was neither desired nor indeed a consideration. For as far as the eye could see, there were temples and obelisks, marbled family shrines and miniature chapels for the dead, all laid out along elegant tree-lined avenues. Rion saw on her map that her hero's grave was at the far end of South Avenue, on the other side of the cemetery. Excited now, she set off. After a few steps, the plucky runaway had the peculiar feeling she was being watched. Rion looked up, but the only people she could see were a rather incongruously jolly little group beside a grave on what, after a hurried look at the map, she deemed to be North Avenue. She carried on, her attention taken by a romantic stone canopy nearby. Rion turned off Centre Avenue onto the soft, slightly springy wood chips of a smaller path. Again, she felt she was being watched. But again, a furtive glance revealed no one. Within a few moments, she was standing in front of a sculpted, comforting angel that guarded the grave beneath the canopy. George Augustus Frederick Percy Sidney Smythe, 7th Viscount Strangford and 2nd Baron Penshurst, she read out aloud, the lettering carved in stone. He died before he was 40, you know. Rion jumped, startled by the young man who had appeared suddenly beside her. The young man ignored her look of surprise and continued, "Of brandy, dissipation and consumption." He was a journalist as well as a Tory politician. Who'd have thought, eh? He said wryly. Plus ça change. He paused for a moment in reflection. What do you think dissipation is? From her previous encounters with Londoners, Rion thought it best to remain silent. Whatever it is, he continued, it doesn't sound very now, does it? Rion turned to look at the young man who appeared oblivious to her silence. He was roughly the same height as her, although much, much older. At least 26, she reckoned. He wore a raggedy sweater over paint-spattered jeans. His black hair bounced in thick curls over his forehead. I used to know a gardener years ago called Percy. The young man paused in thought. You don't get too many Augustuses. Or should that be Augusti? You don't, do you? You did then, though. Another Augustus George III's sixth son, the Duke of Sussex, is buried here. It said his house was full of singing birds and chiming clocks, and that during his final illness he survived on a diet of turtle soup and orange sorbet. Imagine that! Rion began to imagine if he would ever stop talking. Some of these graves go down 60 feet or more and have spaces for generations of the same family. Rion overcame her nervousness. How do they get down there? She asked curiously. Ropes and pulleys. There are also catacombs under the main chapel, but I don't know much about them. Jake gazed over the acres of tombs and monuments. I could show you around if you like. Thanks, it's okay, Rion said hurriedly. I'm just trying to find the grave of... He was known as a dazzling, handsome rake. Sorry. The young man gestured to the elaborate grave. George Augustus Frederick Percy Sidney Smythe, 7th Viscount Strangford and 2nd Baron Penshurst, Rion finished for him. The young man smiled. It is also said they fought the last duel in England. Nifty, eh? Nifty. Rion felt herself warming, somewhat against her will, to this talkative young man. Anyone who could use the word nifty and get away with it might just be okay. I'm Jake, by the way. Rion avoided his eyes and did not offer her name. After a pause, he asked, "Would you mind if I accompanied you? Really, it's okay. Well, as long as we're both going in the same direction, shall we?" He took Rion gently by the elbow and turned her round to face the burial places lining the other side of the small path. After a couple of steps, he stopped before a white marble grave locked inside some railings. "William Makepeace Thackeray," Jake announced. Rion looked up, interested. She peered closer. "We were reading Vanity Fair at school." "Ah, vanitas vanitatum," Jake said somberly. "All is vanity." Rion finished the closing sentence of the novel for him, intrigued. Who was this gentle-mannered, undeniably attractive but undeniably strange man, and what was he doing in a cemetery? "I was going to take my GCSE next summer." "Was?" he inquired. "Well, I don't think I'll... nothing," she flustered. Jake put his hand up to stop her. "It's none of my business, is it?" "No, it's just... well, I mean..." To stop her embarrassment, Jake gently took her by the arm again. "This you must see." He led her back to where the main avenue branched to the left. In front of them was a compact, ornate shrine. Now this man knew about life.